Hey, welcome. Today, we're going to break down something that's incredibly important but often misunderstood, methadone treatment. Whether you're thinking about it for yourself, already on that path, or here to support someone you care about, our goal is simple. We want to give you clear, science-based answers. Because you know what? Understanding is the very first step to recovery, and this is a judgment-free zone.
So here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to get crystal clear on what methadone actually is, and spoiler, it's a medicine, not a street drug. Then we'll look at its real purpose, which is all about creating stability in the brain. After that, we'll talk about what treatment actually looks like in everyday life. And finally, we are going to bust some of the biggest, most harmful myths out there.
All right, let's dive right into our first section and get to the absolute heart of the matter. Let's just ask it straight up. What is methadone, really? I mean, this is the question, right? It's one that brings up a lot of feelings, a lot of confusion. So let's clear the fog and get a real scientific answer.
Okay, the sciencey term for it is a long-acting, full opioid agonist. But what does that actually mean? Well, long-acting is simple. It works in your system for a whole day. Agonist just means it connects with the same parts of your brain that other opioids do, but, and this is the key, it does it in a slow, controlled medical way. This is not some new thing. It's a medicine that's been used for over 60 years to help people get their lives back.
And this table just lays it all out, doesn't it? It shows the massive difference. On one side, you have methadone. You take it by mouth, it's a pure medical dose, and the whole point is stability and treatment. On the other side, the total chaos of street drugs, unknown junk mixed in, dangerous methods, and chasing that destructive high. They're literally polar opposites.
So how in the world does it create that stability? To really get it, we need to take a look at what's happening inside the brain. And trust me, this is where the science gets really, really cool.
Okay, picture this. Your brain has these things called receptors, and you can think of them like locks on a door. A street drug like heroin is like a key that slams into that lock, bursts the door wide open for a huge, short rush, and then it falls right out, leaving you crashing and heading into withdrawal. But the methadone key, it's totally different. It fits the same lock, but it turns it slowly, gently, and then it stays in place, keeping that door steadily open for a whole day or even longer. No violent rush, no painful crash.
And that's why it works. See, by keeping those locks in the brain steadily occupied, methadone basically tells your body, hey, we're good, your needs are met. This completely stops the horror of withdrawal symptoms. And because it gets rid of those insane highs and lows, it quiets that constant screaming urge to use. It creates a kind of biological peace, and that is the solid ground you can start to build your recovery on.
Now this brings us to what might be the single most important idea to understand. Methadone creates physical dependence. That's just a normal biological thing that happens when your body gets used to a substance. But addiction is totally different. Addiction is a disease, and its main symptom is losing control and doing things that are compulsive and harmful. So you see, methadone treats the disease of addiction by safely managing that physical dependence.
I love this analogy because it just hits the nail on the head. Methadone is like a daily vitamin. It gives your body the steady, essential support it needs to heal and function normally. Street opioids, they're like candy. You get that destructive sugar rush followed by a miserable, awful crash.
So we've covered the science of the how and the why. But what does all of this actually look like in your real, day-to-day life? Because let's be honest, the whole point of this isn't just to feel stable, it's about getting your life back.
Well, once that biological chaos is under control, things can finally start to feel, well, normal again. Having a stable dose means you can actually focus at your job, you can drive a car safely, you have the energy to go for a walk or hit the gym, and maybe most importantly, you can start to mend and rebuild the relationships that addiction may have broken. It's all about getting back to a life with purpose.
And it is so important to get this. The right dose is your dose. It's totally unique to you. It's not some number you should be comparing with anyone else's. Your doctor will work closely with you to find that perfect sweet spot, the exact dose that stops withdrawal and cravings but doesn't make you feel high. It's not about a feeling. It's about finding that balance. It's about stability.
All right, for our last section, let's talk about the myths. The misinformation that swirls around this treatment can be a huge roadblock for people. So it's time we clear the air and separate the facts from the fiction.
So let's start with a really big one. You've probably heard it, this terrifying idea that methadone rots your bones.
Yeah, that idea, the one that causes so much fear and anxiety, is completely 100% false.
Here's the reality, backed by science. There is zero evidence that a medical, therapeutic dose of methadone does any harm to your bones. The real damage that people sometimes experience, that almost always comes from the terrible nutrition and all the dangerous junk mixed into street drugs. In fact, getting on treatment gives you the stability you need to start taking care of your overall health again.
And then there's the other one you hear all the time. This idea that taking methadone is somehow worse than heroin, or that you're just trading one addiction for another.
This is not just false, it's a dangerously misleading idea. And honestly, it's an idea that costs lives. Let's be as direct as possible here. Heroin is an illegal, unpredictable poison with a sky-high risk of overdose and death. Methadone is a legal, life-saving medicine that takes that risk of overdose off the table and helps you build a bridge back to a healthy, stable life. They are not even in the same universe.
Okay, this all leads to a really personal and completely valid question that so many people have. Am I going to be on this stuff for the rest of my life? I get it. Nobody wants to feel like they're tied to a medication forever. And the honest answer is, not necessarily. Look, for some people, addiction is a chronic disease, and it needs long-term management, just like someone with diabetes needs insulin. But for others, after a good long period of stability, and I'm talking years here, it is possible to do a very, very slow taper off of it with close medical supervision. The absolute most important thing, though, is to never, ever rush that process.
If you walk away with just one single thing today, please let it be this. Addiction is a disease of the brain. It is not a moral failing. It is not a weakness of character. Taking this medicine is no different than a person with heart disease taking their medication. It is a life-saving treatment for a real medical condition. Period.
So we'll leave you with this to think about. Whether it's making an appointment to talk to a doctor, or just deciding to eat one healthy meal, or maybe just giving yourself a little credit for how far you've come, what is one small, positive step you can take on your journey starting today?